Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. When is a Canon not a Canon? And if it's not a Canon, what is it? Here in front of us we have a Canon T60, and this was actually made by a company called Cosina. For those of you who don't know, Cosina is a third-party manufacturer. They've made cameras and photographic equipment for most of the major camera manufacturers. This is actually a model called the Cosina CT1, and it's been modified. Obviously it's been designed together with Canon, has the FD mount, but it was manufactured by Cosina, not by Canon, and it was never sold in Japan, interestingly enough. Right, this camera was introduced in 1990, and that's 3 years after the introduction of the EF mount, the new autofocus mount. And FD, as you probably know, is manual focus, largely, apart from the T80 and its 3 lenses, the AC lenses. And very much when the EF mount was introduced in 1987, very similar to today, with the RF mount just being announced by Canon, and the prices are, I would say, astronomical. The new lenses and the new cameras, the mirrorless stuff is very, very expensive. And this is exactly the same problem that they had in the late 80s with the introduction of the EF mount. So there was a demand, and particularly in some areas of the world that are not particularly well off, for a manual focus, cheap introduction camera, ideally suited to students and to people who didn't want to spend all the money on EF mount stuff, and also people who had a very nice collection of FD lenses. The FD lenses are very, very good. This isn't an FD lens, this is a Sigma lens. I think on the front of this one, yeah, it's a 35 to 70 zoom. It's a rather slow thing, f3.5 to 4.5, 35 to 70. It's not a fantastic lens, you can see it's a bit nasty. But yeah, this camera was introduced in 1990 as a sort of a beginner's student type camera. It's largely plastic, it has the FD mount. It's electronic, it's battery operated, it relies on 2. I would recommend using SR44s, but if you can't get those, LR44s will do, although they won't last as long. And yeah, as you can see, this is all plastic, and even the top of it's plastic. It has aperture priority and manual exposure, and that's set up on here. L for lock, A for automatic, and then a range of shutter speeds from 1 second through to 1,000th of a second plus B. Has a frame counter. Pull the lever out and that kind of activates the camera and turns it on. If I put it on to 1,000, see if it'll work. This camera suffers with the battery connections in them. It's not a particularly reliable camera, this. You can see this is where the battery goes, is in the bottom here. Quite often you have to tighten it up. There you go. So yeah, we have a frame counter on this side of this damn thing will focus. No, we're not going to focus today. Maybe it's too close, but yeah, we've got a frame counter in there, as you can see. It just moves on. Threaded shutter release, as you can see. I had one of these soft buttons in there. It's quite a useful little addition. It's just a little bit of plastic that just screws in, makes a nice little place for the tip of your finger. Shutter speed selection dial on the top, like I say, aperture priority or manual, hot shoe on the top, and over here you have the ASA or ISO. As you can see, it goes from 25 through to 1600, I do believe. Yeah. Pull up, rewind, crank, pull up to open the back, standard 35mm SLR, which is what this is, by the way. Vertical metal shutter. This part's metal, inside. It's got a metal chassis to it, sprocket drive, slotted take-up spool, plastic back, pressure plates metal, and the windows you can see if you've got film in it or not. Doesn't seem to have much in the way of foams, this one, so there's a little strip of foam along there, but there's no real foams across these top and bottoms. Nicely sculpted back. It feels actually quite nice in the hand. Quite light as well. That'll be the plastic that's making it quite light. Has a self timer as well. Flash sync speed to 60th. All the way down to B, like I say, aperture priority. So what you have in the viewfinder is you have a list of shutter speeds down the side. You can just about see it there. I don't know if I can zoom in on that. 2 times. You can see down this side there's a list of shutter speeds, and LEDs light up corresponding to the chosen shutter speed that the camera selected for you. And there's a self timer. I don't know what we're set on 15th, that's alright. And then it goes mad. And there you go. Quite loud. But yeah, very similar camera to the Olympus OM2000. That's exactly the same. It's a Cosina CT1. The Nikon FM10 and FE10, again the same camera, built by Cosina. And if you think this is a bad thing, then Cosina are very high quality, predominantly optical. That's how they started, was by doing lenses. They make the Voigtlander stuff. They also make lenses for Leica as well. The SLR is one of their cameras. Some of the medium format Fujifilm cameras were made by them, the film cameras. So if anyone was going to make a new 35mm or even a 6x6 camera, probably Cosina would be the firm to do it. And I really wish somebody would bring out a new film camera, because we're going to need one in a couple of years' time. You can't keep on repairing them all the time. So here's a proper lens to put on there. This is a 1.4 50mm. This is the new FD sort of lens. It's far better than that Sigma lens. Not knocking Sigma, but I think the FD lenses are a lot better quality. So yeah, that's the Canon T60. Like I say, not sold in Japan. I think it was sold in the US and in Europe, and it was an introductory sort of model for the FD mount lenses. Aperture priority, manual, more than enough. That's all you needed really. No motors, nothing complicated like that. Fairly simple camera. It's got all the usual things, pushing this little button on the bottom to rewind the film. And yeah, it's quite lightweight. Quite nice. Right, let's have some film in it. So we've got to pull up on the rewind crank. I can get hold of it. Pull this up. Opens up the back. As you see now in my films, you know how this goes. Got the film. Yeah. The film goes in this way, like so. Pull it across. Feeds into this. It's multi-slotted, which is quite nice. And then wind it on until it's sitting on the sprockets nicely. Close the back. As I always say, you want to make sure the film's going through the camera, so take up the slack. Oop. And go again with this battery. A dodgy connection at the bottom. It won't work. As you can see, it's a bit temperamental, this one. There you go. Set your ISO. Bad thing with that is that there's no lock on it. It's quite easy to move it to change it. And there you go. Set that round on lock. And it's locked. And I think we use the 50mm on that rather than that zoom lens. And there you go, folks. That's the camera for today. Canon T60. Interesting camera. The last of the FD series. So we have the FD mount T series. So we have the T50, the T60, the T70, the autofocus T80, and my particular favourite, the T90. So through my videos you've seen every one of the T series now. Very popular range, very good cameras actually. This is going to sit on there, I'll worry about that later. Right, comments, questions, queries, etc. down below as usual. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that usual YouTubey sort of stuff, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.